Hello, welcome to my review of BlacKkKlansman. I give the film 7 out of 10 hairbrushes. This joint, as it was said in the film, was directed by Spike Lee. It stars John David Washington. You might know him from Ballers, or you might know him as Denzel Washington's son, fun fact. Adam Driver of Star Wars fame. Laura Harrier from Spider-Man Homecoming. She her last film, she was in a high schooler, and a very young looking high schooler, and now she's a super old looking college student. Mind blown, right? Topher Grace from That 70s Show in Spider-Man 3. Ryan Edgold from The Blacklist, the husband there. Michael Buscemi, who I didn't even know was Steve Buscemi's brother. And Alec Baldwin for a little bit there in the intro thing. It was weird. But moving on, parents, this is a hard language R. No blood, I think, is really seen. There's an explosion, a couple gunfights, but no one gets really injured or shot at. It's just harsh language, racial slurs throughout the film, and some adult themes of racism and some other things, rapey things. But you can take your younger child to this if they understand the gravity of the situation and what's actually going on. Then I think it's fine if you get it to that point in their mind, or it's a good learning experience if they don't know much about history. I say that because this is a very historical piece, and I give it major props to how realistic it feels sometimes. For the film itself, it's kind of hard to review. Going to this, I thought this was going to be a comedy, more like The Other Guys or some witty, buddy cop comedy. And I was gonna think there's gonna be a scene from Django Unchained, Django Unchained. Jeez, I can't speak today. Django Unchained, where the Ku Klux Klan members are riding out and they're complaining about their hoods, and they make fun of whoever made them, and it's some guy's wife, and he rides off and he's all pissed. And I thought there's gonna be a lot of those scenes. Not really the case. This is a dark time, a huge learning experience for people that don't understand racism from the time of this film is set, or this is a harsh reminder of what people of color and even women, albeit way more for people of color, went through back in this time. There's some pokes at modernism, like our modern time. I'll get to more of that later. And it goes from a sort of funny type scene to a witty scene, and then a scene that would make your blood boil of how much it just disgusts you that people talk like that. And I understand, like, what I look like, and I understand this film is about the suffering of minorities, mainly the Jews, and more so black people or African Americans that they handed the KKK or the organization. But holy shit, I still I seeing the actual costumes, not in a comedy sense, in an actual the we're going to kill you sense, or the we are the pure thing. Oh god, it just makes your blood boil or your blood leave your body, one of the two. I get that sensation when I see a genuine SS or a Nazi uniform in movies. Not so much in a comedy movie like Inglourious Basterds, something like that, but an actual true, almost a sense of the Boy in the Striped Pajamas or Schindler's List, where you actually see an SS uniform and you just, that disgusting feeling you get. The same thing here when you see the actual KKK setup when they're all in their outfits and such. This film knows this, and it uses it to drive its plot of how disgusting you can be. For the main characters, the both of them are, well, one's black and the other one is, Adam's character is actually Jewish, and so they both have a stick in this fight, albeit one is a little bit more intense than the other about it because obvious reasons. It's hard to talk about because I don't want to deny the film a better score because it was a weird film, but it did so well of what it actually did, like its message is trying to do in the film, that I give it such high praise of how authentic it felt and how fracking scary some of those actors came off of, and how much hatred they actually put into their work. It's oh gosh, it's scary, man. It's incredible how they could do that and go home like after recording. I don't think I would be able to do it. I don't think I could. For the film though, there's a strange bit at the beginning and a really strange bit but poetic bit at the end. But in terms of this film, it's a niche film. If you like Spike Lee films or thrillers or maybe historical pieces, then you would probably like this film. If you had any interest, you could probably go see it in the theaters. It's not doing too well. I think it barely made its 15 million budget already. Maybe on pace to make 16 million as of the 17th, which is when I'm recording this film. Well, technically the 16th because no numbers are out for yesterday yet as of today. Anyway, let's go to the spoiler zone. The last 5 minutes of the film is actual footage from the Charlottesville riots last year, and it's poetic, but at the same time it takes you out of it really takes you out of the film, because the film ends and it kind of ends on a lighthearted note, and then it goes right to the Charlottesville riots and the actual footage of that girl being hit and killed, and it gets you. And there's no music going on. It's just the screams and the violence and like the fighting between the two clashes. There's clips of President Trump, of the melee, the attack, that one car that drove through, and it's weird at the beginning, but then you realize why it's put in there. So in terms of film, there's a lot of things that are put into the film to emphasize a point, like posters of an old movie that they're talking about, just to show you that, hey, this movie was made back then, and here's the actual poster, or this 10-minute, 5-minute thing at the end. All of that has positive and negative, so I just make it null out, so I don't give it negative points in the review and I don't give it positive points in the review, because it's still a film. If you wanted to make a documentary about it, I think Spike Lee would make an amazing actual documentary thing about our current state. I'd be game for that, but mixing the two is just kind of weird, but it's still very emotional, impacting, so just keep it even there. In terms of the actual film though, spoiler wise, no heroes die, so there's no sacrificial moment of the film. The three worst Klansmen, the guys that really make your blood boil and disgust you to no end, mainly due to the incredible acting of the three, or maybe a lack of on one character, but that's kind of the point of his character since he's a drunkard. They all die, and then a disgusting woman gets arrested, and there's some police brutality on our main antagonist, but they get his just desserts, and he gets arrested by the dirty cop gets arrested because he's kind of a dick to our main character. And it's poetic ending to where everything goes really well. Our main hero the case still gets dropped, even though there's still a lot of Klansmen out and about that are still violent and still burning crosses in the film. So there's hey, we won the actual like super dangerous moment, but there's still danger ahead, and that's where the film kind of ends. So all in all, I wouldn't say it's a fun time. It's a learning experience or a reminder, depending on where you come from in life. It can be a great teaching moment, and I think maybe when this film comes out, you can rent it, or if it's on Netflix or Hulu or wherever it goes to, you could watch it, maybe especially as a family with a young kid or maybe a kid in college, and say, hey, there's some comedy bits in here, but there's some serious bits, and we could talk about it, or you should already know about it depending on your age. I just probably wouldn't watch it with anyone super old that live in this time, either because it's too real for them, or unfortunately that might be on the other side that they miss that time, which is really dark, I know, but I'm just saying I'd probably set an age limit of someone who didn't live in the time of the film for either way. But that's it for BlacKkKlansman. 7 out of 10. I could have gone 6. I probably wouldn't have gone 8, but I'll just stick at a 7. 7 for me is really average. That sounds bad, because there's a lot of poetic things, but there's a lot of weird things that happen in this film. Like a lot of double edits. Like the same thing happens twice, and at a slight different camera angle, but it's simple things like hanging up the phone, so I don't really get the the impact of that. So that's why it's still a 7. It's still an average-ish score for me. But like I said, that's it for me. That's it for BlacKkKlansman. I hope you enjoyed this. And just remember, I'm Clark Addison. I review entertainment because I care. See you guys next time.